So when people think about the poor in developing countries, those on $2 a day and perhaps those on considerably less than $2 a day, there's always concern and always questions raised about whether mobile technologies, as well as other technologies and other services, actually can trickle down and reach those at the very bottom. I think that it's a very challenging question. I don't think we necessarily know too much yet, certainly in terms of mobile technology, what the impact is at that level, because the industry is still so fundamentally young. I think we forget that mobile phones for development as a discipline has only been around for maybe 10 years at a push. And we're still trying to understand really what the impact of this technology is and where really most of us should be focusing our efforts to maximise that impact. But whatever happens, I think there's always going to be a divide. Now there's a divide between people that own phones and don't own phones, and simply by providing agricultural, health, human rights, whatever services through mobile phones creates or exacerbates that divide by meaning that those that don't have a phone can have access to even less services, so you create a divide there. If you look at mobile phone ownership in Africa now, more broadly, there are people, 40% roughly penetration across the continent of mobile phone ownership, but there are vast numbers of people that don't own phones now. When smartphones become prevalent, those people that don't have phones now might have the older phones that get passed down, and that will create a divide. You'll then have people who can access the feature-rich services, that can access multimedia and do sorts of fairly complex, rich mobile browsing and so on, but then there'll be those that then can't do that. So you'll create a new divide. So potentially the mobile phone sort of effect will trickle down as far down as it can go. But I think the real challenge we have is really trying to understand what kinds of services and what things are useful to people at the very, very bottom of that economic pyramid. And I don't think many of us have those answers. And the fact that much of the innovation that we're seeing today around technology and mobile technology is happening within the developing countries themselves actually gives us the best chance possible to solve those problems, because after all, somebody who comes from one of those villages who's learnt about mobile technology probably knows a lot more about how the technology might solve a problem that he or she has experienced, rather than somebody perhaps from the US or the UK who's trying to take a guess. So as the solutions and the innovation gets closer geographically to where those real problems are for people at the very, very bottom of the pyramid, I think our chances of solving them will increase considerably. But how long that will take, I don't know. It is happening now, and I think that's the most exciting thing about the mobile space at the moment.